Welcome to Level Up with Winnie Sun.
Well, happy Thursday, and thank you so much for tuning in. So if you're joining me on the replay, let me know by commenting the word replay so I'll catch your view. And if you're joining us live today, welcome to the show. Do me a favor and please comment. Let me know what city you're joining us from. I love that. In fact, Jim, who is often on the show with me here, I didn't know he was from Chicago until one day he actually said that he was from Chicago. It's just fun to know where you're tuning in from because, as you know, we go live each and every day. The financial markets is open all across the globe. And, being that we're here virtually, it's fun to see who's here in the audience with me. And also, let me know how you're feeling today, because I would love to hear how your day's been going so far. Let's start with the financial markets to see what's going on. Well, the Dow closed up 44. NASDAQ closed up 103. Go NASDAQ. S&P up 14 as well. So you might be wondering, I know many of us are wondering, Get It Hair is here with St. Louis. I love it. Get It Hair is so nice to see. One of these days, you gotta tell me your real name too, because I call you Get It Hair, but that's your Periscope name. I love to know who you are. Really. We gotta be friends. Well, how did the stock market rise today? Well, you've guessed it. Stimulus talks are resuming. That's why the stock market is rising. That's right. Today, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer shared that Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has agreed to resume negotiations. Are we making progress? Yes. Should we bank on something happening soon? I hope, but I'm not holding my breath, and neither should you. The clock is ticking, and our government hasn't traditionally been very fast. And coming together to get something done, it's like talking about two opposing teams coming together at the most important time to come together for a deal. We would have a better chance if this was Hollywood, but it's not. This is like real life. But fingers crossed that they can play well and come together and get Americans the financial relief, the stimulus package that is so needed. In terms of unemployment, because today's Thursday, unemployment news comes out. First-time filings for unemployment benefits ended at 742,000 last week, versus the projected estimate of 710,000. Now, you might not think those two numbers are that far apart, but that's quite a bit. Those are individuals who are currently filing for unemployment. So definitely not a good number to be off on. We certainly want to see that number continue to drop, but that number certainly hasn't been doing that. So definitely not good, but it's to be expected, unfortunately, as COVID-19 cases continue to increase. And the really scary thing is that 12 million Americans are set to lose their unemployment benefits the day right after Christmas. Yeah, this news hit all over the financial news today, like literally a day after Christmas. Can you imagine? Even if you don't celebrate Christmas, during the holidays, you're seeing the time and you're already not being able to spend time with your families because of the pandemic. And then you have to worry about how you're going to make ends meet literally the day after the holiday. So very scary time. This comes upon us as Americans have already been reporting higher levels of food insecurity. And you might have seen this in your neighborhood. In my neighborhood, I'm seeing definitely much more homeless Americans walking around asking for handouts than ever before. And here in the United States, we're seeing increasing levels of poverty in the last few months. This pandemic is definitely very, very ruthless, been very cruel to so many of our neighbors, friends, and family. And there are a lot of Americans just not sure how they're going to navigate all of this financial uncertainty. However, the talk of resumed stimulus talks has definitely helped tech lead the NASDAQ move up significantly today as investors feel more confident in the future. Tied with the last 2 weeks of vaccine developments, we are starting to see more hope in the horizon, at least when it comes to the stock market and the financial markets here. So crazy times, right? Lena is saying it gets harder in time, in my opinion. And yeah, Lena, I would agree. I think it's going to get harder. I think because we have hope, right, that the vaccine is coming soon, but yet we're not there yet. It hasn't deployed yet. And we do know that there continue to be challenges, not only in on the political front. I mean, not even talking about that. I mean, there isn't even closure yet on the elections. But then now we're worried about Americans having to deal with poverty the day after Christmas. And then we still are waiting for our politicians to come together, to come with some sort of resolution for a stimulus package when we know that Americans need help, and we know that they need help because of things that they can't control. I mean, it's just city after city. You may have heard already that in New York City, half the restaurants that have closed will probably not come back, 50%. You know, in a tourist city, financial capital of New York City, for that to happen, trickle that across the United States, how many Americans right now are unemployed? How many Americans are struggling to make ends meet, dipping into their savings, dipping into their retirement savings, dipping into their kids' college education, having to move in with their parents or moving in with their children? Like, it's just such a scary thought. And Lena is saying we need safer ways to operate businesses that are face to face. And that's absolutely true. I would agree with you on that. And I think that's even post pandemic, even after the vaccines, after we get through all this, we need to come with a solution. We've seen now in other parts of the world where wearing masks has become totally typical. In fact, I went to Taiwan to see some of my family last November before the pandemic. And all over Asia, people they're very used to wearing masks. It's not an atypical thing. And, they're concerned about, pollution, and they just see it as if, you might have an itchy throat. They just think it's common practice to be considerate and to wear a mask so that you don't want to potentially spread even your common cold to your neighbors. So perhaps we'll be able to get there. Perhaps we will have to go there. Nobody likes wearing masks. I certainly do. My kids hate wearing masks, but maybe that's just something that we're going to have to accept it. And certainly, I think that's going to be a trend on as we travel. I think in airplanes for sure, that's probably going to be very much a norm. So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But just us talking today about the financial markets, that's what we're talking about today. Today I started the day really, really well. I started the day speaking at a Forbes virtual event discussing women and investing. It's really interesting. On Tuesday, I was speaking at a conference for CNBC. Today, it was a conference for Forbes. I love this topic because, you may know that women traditionally don't make a lot of investment decisions in a household, and they're not actually the majority of investors. However, studies have shown that they traditionally are better investors. They actually make better financial decisions. They tend to be more dedicated and more loyal to their investments. They're able to be buy and hold investors more frequently, and they tend to stay with their financial advisors longer term as well. And it was such an empowering conversations there. And we answered a lot of audience questions. We talked about things like planning for retirement. We talked about what do you do when you're a solo practitioner, business owner, or if you own a small business? What are some things to think about as you prepare during this time and beyond? And from there, I actually literally pivoted. Didn't even have 30 seconds, went from one Zoom meeting to another Zoom, and then went into a talk for the Los Angeles Times. It was an LA Times talk that they had for their internal employees with the esteemed business writer, David Lazarius, who is incredible. If you don't follow him, a great person to follow at the LA Times. He calls it a community newspaper, but we all know the LA Times is much more than just a community newspaper. And he writes so much great consumer business columns to help you go through today and beyond, and making those really smart decisions about things such as, your car insurance, and things about homeowners insurance, and things about health insurance, and getting a mortgage, and all these consumer business topics. So I love spending time with him and answering questions from the LA Times employee audience. This, my friends, is really the time to have these important money discussions, these savings questions, retirement questions. It's so interesting because a lot of the questions that employees would submit, and also some of the audience would submit on the Forbes talks as well, as they would say maybe this is a simple question, and they always want to apologize for the question. But you realize that there's no such thing as too simple of a question or even too challenging question. It's just a question. And your questions are so powerful because there's so many people that have that question that are too shy to ask. And there's always been this stigma of not talking money, right? You're not supposed to talk about money. It's like a taboo thing. It's like uncool. It's unpolite. It's unacceptable. But yet we all have these questions. And going through today's talks, I just realized really some of the themes that so many of us have. I answered so many questions from Tuesday's CNBC talk to today's Forbes talk to the LA Times talk, and so many similar questions. And a lot of the things that you are asking about, like you might be wondering about, should I buy an investment property, right? Should I be refinancing my house? What's the best way to set up an education account for my children, for my grandchildren? These are things that everybody has questions at, and that's why we do what we do. And so that's why I'm so grateful to have you join me. And when you ask questions or when you help answer the audience questions too. I mean, Lena's been awesome like that. Get it here too. Like sometimes there'll be questions that come in, I'll answer and they'll add to that. And that's powerful because that means that we're learning together and we're getting better together. Because as a longtime financial advisor now, 20 plus years, right? I continue to have conversations like this each and every day. In fact, after today's stream, I've got meetings to go to and other client calls to do, and I have reporter interviews to answer to as well, so that they can share the knowledge that I share with them to all their readers. And so what I would say is, this is totally normal and it's totally okay for us not to know the answers. And so I just want to invite you to think about that. If you know somebody that needs help, right? Even if it's just one person, if it's a family member, or if it's a colleague or whatnot, encourage them to reach out, encourage them to watch our show, and encourage them to send in a question, because that's how we're going to get through this process together. I'm a believer in this, and that's a small way that I can help, and I need your help to help me help. So maybe we can do this together. I don't know, just find a Maven. Your comment just made my day, my friend. Goodness. I love this, but today I actually have to cap our conversation a bit short, as I do have a call with another potential client who is not sure how to handle the layoff news that his employer just shared with him. And so that's what we do. We are there to help you make those smart financial decisions, the best decisions that you can about your money, about your retirement, about your education savings, about paying off, things that are important to you, and to reach those important financial goals. And they don't have to all be serious goals. And in fact, that's something I would challenge you. Think of one fun goal. Everybody in life, it's not just about only savings and only investing. I mean, goodness gracious, that'd be so sad. It's about living a balanced life. It's about having those fun goals tied with those serious goals, and making sure, most importantly, that your money works as hard as you do. So join me together for our most popular show of the week, which is AWA, which is Ask Winnie Anything. I didn't come up with that. My amazing team came up with that. But AWA is so popular because that's where you're sending your questions in, or you can even submit them live on the show. And you actually can do that now. In fact, you can actually, while you're watching this or later on, comment on this stream, or you can send me an email, or you can direct message me, however you want to. You can either tweet me or post something on one of my LinkedIn feeds. I go through them and I'll just collect the questions, and then I make sure to put them into the show, and then I answer them live for you. And that's how we learn together. So your question can help so many people. So thank you so much, my friends. I hope that you have an incredible Thursday. Do know that we're going to get through this together. Thanksgiving is upon us next week, but certainly a lot of financial days still between now and then. And I know you won't be here for all of them, but I appreciate you being here for today and being here and watching this. And if you're watching from the replay, I appreciate you so much for doing that. 24/7, you're always welcome to watch the replay. But stay well. Thank you so much for your support. Goodness gracious, I couldn't do what I do today without you, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate that, because it's just really weird talking to yourself, and it's so much better when I see you there across the screen. So thank you so much. See you again tomorrow. Be well, my friends. Bye-bye now.